Good morning and welcome to Waking Up with Don. Our viewership numbers continue to climb thanks to you. And today is Monday, which means it's Medical Monday, and we've got Dr. Roman Nation here in our studio to talk about a little bit about, hi Doc.
Morning, sir. How are you?
We're going to talk a little bit about nutrition and health and supplements today, if you don't mind.
Not at all.
I had a colleague of yours, JT, who's your nutritionist at Nation's Best, and what an interesting guy.
Yeah.
And he says that he and you have a really good working relationship in that you can give no kidding medical advice to him regarding the diets and the programs that he puts together. How's all that working for you?
It's a really interesting program. It's taken off much faster and incredibly more successful than I ever thought it was going to be possible. I mean, we've been doing weight loss kind of stuff, and I've been going to nutrition classes, and we go to these different seminars about, there's a whole academy called the American Society of Obesity Medicine that's designed to train physicians on how to do weight loss and healthier eating for patients and things like that. So we've been to a bunch of those different things, and we've been trying to find a nutritionist that you could work with that would, one, listen to the way that we approach medicine, and two, they approach nutrition in a non-adversarial way. And that's honestly the trouble we've been having is the vast majority of people that work strictly in gyms, they treat the physician as the enemy. And so when you get conflicting advice like that, it's like, well, your doctor says one thing and then your nutritionist says something else. It really does not work out very well because the person in the middle is caught with like, well, who do I listen to? I mean, it's just like if you take the same problem, if you have a heart issue and you take it to 4 different cardiologists and you get 3 different answers, well, which answer do you listen to? So that's how we started working together.
That is the art of medicine. I mean, it's not just a science; it's an art as well.
Absolutely.
So doctors bring their own.
There's more than one way to treat a particular problem. I mean, you just take hypertension. There's literally dozens of medications out there that can treat hypertension. And while there are guidelines, there's so many variables to the guidelines that no single individual is going to be the same. And it's the same thing with diabetes and depression and cholesterol and things like that. I mean, everything is a little bit different.
So it says a lot about the way you practice the art of medicine by your association with JT as a nutritionist.
Yes.
I mean, so you're taking your approach to, say, hypertension, for instance, a little differently than perhaps just writing a script.
Absolutely. The biggest thing that I emphasize on is there's ways that we can draw labs and pick up the earlier signs of diabetes well before it becomes a diabetic. And a lot of studies in medicine are just designed to pick things up like, can you make a difference after the disease is there? That's called secondary treatment, meaning that after the problem's been identified, then what do you do? What can you do about it to make it better? Yeah, exactly. And
often, doesn't it take years to get to that point?
Absolutely. Well, it does. And the studies beyond that are changing constantly, too. I mean, when I was in medical school 15 years ago, they were coming out with studies, and they keep revising things. And so, no kidding, the advice that you get in 2010 is going to be different than 2012, is going to be different than 2014. And new studies come out all the time, and new drug companies are sponsoring different medications to prove that their medication is better than the last 25 medications that are there. When really, if you boil it back down to like what's the safest path, is if you eat the correct way, you can fix a whole lot of things. And so the folks that I try to spend a lot of time on are the ones that have that family history where there's diabetes there, or folks that are getting older and they're otherwise healthy and nobody's really picked up on the fact that their sugar's been rising every time they get their labs checked. And so we talk to them about that and say, look, we can keep following this train and you're going to become a diabetic at some point, or we can work on getting you to eat a little better. And it's a lot easier than most people think. It's a lot of folks approach diets and nutrition as, with the word die in it. And they do. And it's like, well, I can only do this for so long and then I have to go back to the way I was eating before. Well, you can't do that. And I mean, because then you end up on the yo-yo. And every time you do that, you gain more weight when you do.
So it really takes a lifestyle change.
It is. And like I said, it's a lot easier than people think. When I started with JT and he showed me how he approaches it, and different nutrition diet type plans that I've been on before, it's a lot easier than I suspected it to be. So, but that's what we're doing now, and it's been great.
Now, we've got to run off to a break in the local weather, but let's talk more about that on the other side of your local weather, brought to you by the West Pittman Law Firm, westpittmanlawfirm.com. Welcome back to the show. I'm here with Dr. Roman Nation from Nation's Best, Family Healthcare up here in Lynn Haven on Ohio Avenue, or otherwise Route 77.
Yes, sir.
So your little practice is doing well.
Yeah, we the nutrition program has really taken off.
Yeah.
And kind of JT's, I've given examples before. We've had a couple of our initial people, some were in their 40s, others in their 50s. I have now one family that we started with. Him and his wife have done so very, very well that they brought their kids in to come see us too. And their kids are relatively healthy to begin with, but they want to go from being healthy to being athletic.
To being super healthy.
There's a different transition there that's what we do. In terms of taking somebody from who's really on the bottom end of the metabolic scale where they don't do very well and they're on a dozen medications, and we're trying to work them back to the middle where they're just normal. And then the younger population, if you do it the right way, you can take them from being your average student or average athlete into being a really kind of track star kind of stuff. Without having to do a whole lot of supplements or a whole lot of, and certainly no medications or hormones and things like that people get into when they go to the gym.
What role does genetics play in all this? Because, I look at my dad, who's 88 years old and's done everything wrong. He doesn't really drink, never smoked, but the guy would eat everything. He was 5'6" and 240 pounds for as long as I could remember, and he's at 88 years old. One of our sponsors of this show, Mr. Ellis Fohand, is turning 100 years old today. So, and
That's
back
incredible.
in those days, people just didn't know that much about nutrition. I guess they had a general idea. They
No.
had the old food pyramid, I suppose.
Yeah.
But what do you attribute
the
that
food
to?
pyramid is already gotten redone a couple of different
Sure.
times. And the vast majority of what we see is people have a inadequate amount of water intake in their system and an inadequate amount of protein in their system. And it depends on each person's individual goals. So when you talk about genetics, if you're a taller person versus if you have a natural higher level of testosterone in your system, there's a vast difference between what kind of athletics you'll be able to do and adapt well to. So some people who make more testosterone on their own, there's supplements that can help augment that.
Does that contribute to longevity, testosterone?
Absolutely, yeah. There's a whole lot of, that's a whole sidebar. But there's what's called a U-shaped curve, where if your testosterone in both men and women, if it's too low, your risk of dying from everything goes up, and if it's too high, your risk of cardiac disease goes up. But there's a window in the middle there that's the sweet spot. That's what we shoot for all of our patients, is to get them as healthy as possible. So hormone levels are really important. Absolutely.
As well as nutrition and genetics and all that.
It all snowballs together. Is that if you just treat the hormonal side of things and you don't get the nutrition right, then you're losing half the game. And if you just treat the nutrition and you don't get the other part right, you're still missing about half of the game.
What about the psychological and spiritual dimension to all that as well? I mean, I've talked to my dad, who's managed to stay intellectually busy.
Yep.
All these years, he does the New York Times crossword still.
Yep.
88 years old. Mr. Ellis Fohan goes to work every day, 100 years old. Does that contribute to
absolutely?
your?
There's an extreme amount of evidence that relates to longevity and doing something beyond yourself. So we see it a lot on our military retirees when they retire, their 40s. Now, if you retire and you don't have something else that you have a reason to get out of bed every day, they decline, and much more rapidly than folks who are in their 60s that still work every day. So there's a genetic piece to that, but there's an extreme amount of environmental piece in terms of you have to do something beyond just waking up in the morning. You have to have a reason to get out of bed and things that you have to do during the day. And that will help contribute to your longevity. It's actually that goal setting type thing that actually keeps you moving forward.
Yeah, and I certainly agree with that. My dad retired at 63, and he was like, "I retired too soon."
Yep. Yeah.
He wished
I'm bored. I don't know what to do.
bored, and he
Exactly.
retired too soon. And they travel a little bit and all that stuff, but he still drives.
Yep.
So look out if you're traveling around on Staten Island somewhere.
No, and the hardest ones that we have to treat are folks that are in their 40s that have become medically disabled for one reason or another.
Yeah.
I mean, I treat 40-year-olds with cardiac disease and stuff like that. And trying to get them on the right track is much, much harder than taking somebody who's in their 60s and 70s who's been active their whole life and just tweaking it a little bit.
So you have to make sure that you have a goal in life, or you have some sort of other value than
Correct.
just being retired.
Right. Or
collecting
waking
a
up and just
check or
taking my
whatever.
medicines every day. This is
Yeah.
because the doctor said this is what I got to do.
You gotta stay active.
That's only part of the equation.
Dr. Nation, always an interesting conversation.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much for coming on.
My pleasure.
And I feel like I'm going to live longer just by this conversation alone. And now off to your Max Biz tip from Zenobia.
Zenobia Andrews here, your business system strategist, and I am delighted to be bringing you your Max Biz tip for today. Now, our topic for today is procrastination and what it does to your potential. Procrastination and what it does to your potential. What is procrastination? Procrastination is forcing you to put things off that you need to do now. Delaying things, important things that you're responsible for and you're accountable for. Now, what are the effects of procrastination? Number one, it burns you out. It makes you feel like you have so much of anxiety and overload. And also it makes you feel lazy and unmotivated to do the things that you're accountable to do in your business, in your relationships. Procrastination has a way of affecting all of these different areas of your life. But I'm here to share with you that your potential is only as great as your will to fight off procrastination when she comes knocking on your door. So your potential is your power to overcome procrastination. And I'm here to tell you that you can do it. And the key to it is having that mindset of being a non-procrastinator. We don't have time for that rush waiting to the last minute anymore, my friend. Today is your day to activate, to move now in what you're supposed to be doing in your business, in your relationships, as you're accountable in your life. Listen, I'm Zenobia Andrews, your business system strategist, and I am here to support you. You can reach me at www.zenoviaandrews.com. And if you follow me on social media, hey, I will definitely follow you back. Let's continue to press towards the max.
Welcome back to the show. If you've been in Panama City for any amount of time, you know all about faux hand furniture. It's been a mainstay in Panama City here on Harrison Avenue for many years. And I have here with me today Mr. Ellis Fohan, who is the proprietor and owner of Faux Hand Furniture. And you've been in business for quite a long time now, sir, aren't you?
Well, it only seems like yesterday, but it is a long time.
When did you start the business here on Harrison Avenue?
Well, I bought the business out in 1952, but I stayed downtown in a rental building from my family there, and I bought the property here on 10th and Harrison and built a building on it, borrowing the money, of course, in 58.
So the new building
So
went up
we've been in this in 58.
So that's what, 56 years, 55 years?
Well, we'll have to take our shoes off and count it, won't we?
I know. And you've enjoyed some success here on Harrison Avenue too. I'm sure you've seen a lot of changes. I know just from being in your lobby and looking at some of the historical pictures that you have there. I see some pictures of you and I guess your father as well.
Yes, he's in there. So is my two sons, and the architect and the builder.
Now, was your dad in the furniture business as well?
Oh yes, my dad was in the business a long time before I was there. But and he was a good man. He was a man that started working before day and kept on working till afternoon. He worked more than a half a day.
That's right.
A half a day is from like 6 in the morning till 6 in the evening.
It's 12 hours, and technically that is
Right.
a half a day.
We worked longer than that most of the time.
And do you still keep those kind of hours?
Yes, I do, and I enjoy it.
So you're up early and you work that 12-hour day, and is that, I guess my question is Is that the reason for your success? Is just being dedicated to what you're doing?
Well, the harder you work, the better you do business, isn't it?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, and you've got to be there to work hard. You have to at least be present at your business to take care of things, don't you?
Yeah.
Now, over these years that here on Harrison Avenue, you've probably seen a lot of changes, haven't you?
I surely have.
And
Very fortunate.
some good, some not so good, I would imagine.
Well, we remember the good, but it's the bad that makes us attain a good.
Yeah. Yeah.
You certainly make the bad things be a profit to you by doing them better.
You got to learn from those tough life lessons, I suppose.
Right.
We have to run off to a break, but perhaps maybe you can share some of that with us on the other side of these messages. Welcome back to the show. I'm speaking with Mr. Ellis Fohand, downtown Panama City at Fohand Furniture. It's a kind of a big day for us. I don't know about you, but you've turned 100 years old. Do you feel any different than 99?
I don't think I had anything to do with that.
No, I think you might have. I mean, just working hard and staying healthy.
Hardly working sometimes, it seemed.
Yeah. You know, they say, what is it? 50 is the new 40. I guess 100 is the new 90.
Well, I certainly, a lot of them want to know what the secret is.
Yeah.
If I knew and if they had enough money, I'd take their money because I don't know how. I don't know where.
Yeah.
It should be something there that I have had the privilege of living longer and enjoying it, and my family and my friends. But I'm grateful for every day that I can enjoy life.
And I think that's probably the key to it all, is just enjoying your life. You know, people do special diets and exercise and all kinds of other things. And have you ever done any of that stuff? Or just a healthy lifestyle or moderation?
I've had opportunities to work, and I've enjoyed working. And after all, why, that's the main thing in life. If you do something that you enjoy, why, you can't help but make a success out of it.
That's
I
true.
think.
Well, yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
You think, who knows?
Yeah, that's right.
It's some people talk about survival of the fittest. Sometimes I think it's survival of the survivors.
You're very true. That's very true.
But a good work ethic and having people around you who care about you is probably very important to that longevity, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely. My wife, she was a wonderful person there to make a home, and it's just something I had one sweetheart, and she was it.
And that,
We were married 71 and a half years.
wow. Yeah. Well, we're coming up on 30 years in November, and you know, it's hard to imagine, you know, where you would be without this other person in your life sometimes.
Well,
That's
it
important.
was
Yeah.
a pleasure to live and share the love that we shared with the family. That's one of the things in life there that's so important, is love.
And that's probably the greatest legacy that anybody could ever leave.
Absolutely. And enjoy, and cause others to enjoy.
Well, Mr. Fohand, I wish you continued success here, and congratulations on your 100th birthday, and thank you for sharing some time with us.
Well, it's a pleasure to see you down here and making your life, a part of our life, and improving our lives with your life.
Well, I'm
Now,
doing
is
what
there
I
any
can.
other lives that we can talk about?
Thank you, sir, and happy birthday.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much.
And we'll see you next time.